Certain minds spend years searching for proof that they are intelligent, while the strongest evidence quietly shapes the way they think every single day without being noticed. Modern psychology has revealed an unexpected truth that challenges almost everything people believe about genius. Intelligence is not always loud. It does not always earn perfect grades, collect awards, or attract attention in a crowded room. In fact, some of the most intelligent people often overlook their own abilities, because the very traits that make them exceptional can also make life more confusing, more exhausting, and more lonely. Deep thinking is often mistaken for overthinking. Constant curiosity is sometimes dismissed as distraction. Questioning your own opinions may feel like insecurity, while enjoying time alone can easily be misunderstood as being distant or antisocial. Yet psychology suggests these behaviors may point toward a mind that processes the world in a very different way. That difference is rarely obvious from the outside. Many brilliant individuals spend years believing they are simply average because they compare themselves to impossible standards or assume everyone thinks the same way they do. The surprising reality is that genuine intelligence often hides behind ordinary habits that most people never connect with genius. Throughout history, many highly creative and intellectually gifted people doubted themselves far more than others realized, proving that confidence and intelligence are not the same thing. The human brain is far more complex than a single IQ score, and researchers now understand that intelligence appears in many different forms, including the ability to recognize patterns, adapt to new information, think deeply, stay endlessly curious, and question ideas instead of accepting them without evidence. These qualities rarely receive attention because they do not always produce instant success, but they quietly shape the way a person understands the world. In this video, you will discover 8 psychological signs that may reveal a level of intelligence you never recognized before. Each sign is supported by psychological research and real patterns observed in human behavior, and several of them may completely change the way you see yourself or the people around you. Some of these signs may seem surprising, while others may even sound like personal struggles you have carried for years without understanding their deeper meaning. As we move through each point, you may begin connecting pieces of your own personality that never made sense until now. The final sign is perhaps the most misunderstood of them all, and it often separates truly intelligent thinkers from those who only appear knowledgeable. By the end of this video, you may discover that intelligence is not about showing the world how smart you are, but about the hidden patterns inside your own mind that have been there all along. Welcome to the channel, where we explore the fascinating psychology behind human behavior, intelligence, and the hidden workings of the mind. If you enjoy thoughtful content that helps you understand yourself and others on a deeper level, make sure to subscribe and join our growing community, because the insights ahead may completely change the way you define genius. One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing that intelligence can be measured by only one thing. Many assume that a genius is simply someone who remembers facts, solves difficult math problems, or scores well on an IQ test. Psychology tells a much more interesting story. Intelligence is made up of several different abilities that work together in unique ways. IQ is only one part of the picture. Emotional intelligence allows someone to understand feelings, both their own and those of others. Creativity makes it possible to produce new ideas by connecting information in unexpected ways. Metacognition is the ability to think about your own thinking, noticing your habits, questioning your beliefs, and correcting your mistakes. Cognitive flexibility allows the brain to adapt when new information appears instead of staying trapped in old opinions. These qualities often matter just as much as raw intelligence, yet they are much harder to notice. That is why many highly intelligent people go through life without realizing how unusual their minds really are. They often judge themselves by comparing their weaknesses to someone else's strengths. Instead of noticing what makes them different, they focus on what they believe they still lack. Even more surprising, intelligent people usually spend time around other capable individuals at school, work, or in their social circles. When everyone nearby seems equally smart, their own abilities begin to feel ordinary. It becomes easy to believe they are simply average because their reference point is already much higher than normal. Genius often hides inside ordinary behavior. It does not always announce itself with impressive achievements or dramatic moments. Sometimes it appears in quiet habits that most people never pay attention to. It hides in the questions a person asks, the way they solve problems, the way they observe people, and the way they continue learning long after everyone else has stopped. Because these behaviors seem natural to the person experiencing them, they rarely recognize them as signs of exceptional thinking. Instead, they assume everyone experiences the world in the same way. That assumption is often completely wrong. With that in mind, the first sign may be one of the most unexpected because it looks almost identical to insecurity. Many people believe that intelligent individuals are always confident in their answers. Reality often shows the opposite. One of the strongest psychological signs of intelligence is the habit of constantly questioning yourself. This does not mean lacking confidence in every decision. It means refusing to accept your own conclusions without testing them first. An intelligent mind naturally searches for weak points in its own thinking. It asks whether there is another explanation, whether an important detail has been missed, or whether emotions are affecting judgment. Instead of rushing towards certainty, it slows down and examines every possibility. This habit reflects what psychologists call intellectual humility. Intellectual humility is the understanding that no matter how much someone knows, there is always more to learn. It creates a willingness to change opinions when better evidence appears. This quality is surprisingly rare because the human brain prefers certainty over uncertainty. Many people become attached to their first opinion and defend it, even when facts prove it wrong. Highly intelligent thinkers are often more interested in discovering the truth than protecting their pride. This connects to one of psychology's most famous findings, known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. The effect shows that people with lower ability in a subject often overestimate how much they know because they lack the knowledge needed to recognize their own mistakes. Meanwhile, people with greater knowledge become more aware of how much they still do not know. The more they learn, the more they realize the subject is larger than they first believed. This is why genuine intelligence can sometimes sound uncertain, while limited knowledge can sound extremely confident. Think about someone solving a difficult problem at work. One person immediately claims to know the perfect solution and refuses every suggestion. Another person carefully checks every detail, asks for feedback, considers different possibilities, and changes the plan after discovering new information. At first glance, the confident person appears more capable. In reality, the second person is often demonstrating much deeper thinking. Their willingness to question themselves prevents careless mistakes and leads to stronger decisions over time. If you often replay your own reasoning, look for flaws in your arguments, or worry that you missed an important detail, it does not automatically mean you lack confidence. Sometimes self-doubt is not weakness at all. Sometimes it is evidence that your mind is working harder than most people realize. That deeper thinking rarely stops once a decision has been made. For many intelligent people, the mind continues working long after the conversation has ended or the problem has been solved. Thoughts move from one possibility to another without being invited. An ordinary event can trigger dozens of new ideas, questions, and connections within seconds. A short conversation may be replayed several times, searching for hidden meanings or better responses. Future situations are mentally rehearsed before they happen. Old memories are examined from completely different angles. Small details that other people ignore continue demanding attention. This endless internal dialogue can become exhausting, but it also allows the brain to explore possibilities that others never consider. Neuroscientists have linked much of this activity to what is called the default mode network, a system in the brain that becomes active during quiet moments of reflection. Rather than shutting down, the brain continues organizing information, connecting memories, generating creative ideas, and solving problems beneath conscious awareness. That is why answers sometimes appear suddenly during a walk, while taking a shower, or just before falling asleep. The brain has quietly continued working in the background. This constant mental activity often explains why highly intelligent people are labeled as overthinkers. Overthinking usually carries a negative reputation because it can increase stress and anxiety, yet it also has another side. A mind that naturally explores many possibilities is also a mind capable of seeing solutions that others overlook. The challenge is learning when deep thinking is useful and when it becomes unnecessary. Intelligence provides the engine, But emotional balance determines whether that engine becomes productive or overwhelming. The next sign surprises many people because it is often mistaken for being unfriendly or distant. Many intelligent people genuinely enjoy spending time alone, but this preference is frequently misunderstood. There is an important difference between loneliness and chosen solitude. Loneliness is the painful feeling of wanting connection but not having it. Solitude is a deliberate choice to step away from constant noise and allow the mind room to think. For an active brain, quiet moments are often where the most meaningful work happens. Without interruptions, ideas grow naturally. Problems are examined more carefully. Creative solutions appear more easily. Psychological research has repeatedly found that periods of reflection support creativity because the brain has enough space to combine experiences, memories, and knowledge into fresh ideas. Constant stimulation can interrupt this process. That does not mean intelligent people dislike others or avoid relationships. Many enjoy deep conversations, meaningful friendships, and strong emotional connections. What drains them is endless distraction without purpose. They often recharge through silence because their minds continue exploring questions even when no one else is present. While some people recover energy from large groups, others recover it from uninterrupted thought. Neither approach is better. They simply reflect different ways the brain restores itself. This quiet habit also prepares the mind for another remarkable ability that often goes unnoticed. Some people seem to recognize connections long before anyone else does. They notice repeated behaviors, hidden motives, and subtle details that appear completely unrelated at first. This is known as pattern recognition, and it is one of the most powerful forms of intelligence. Instead of viewing each event separately, the brain automatically builds relationships between pieces of information collected over days, months, or even years. A casual comment reminds them of something said months earlier. A small change in someone's behavior reveals a larger emotional shift. Tiny details combine into a clear picture before anyone else notices there is a pattern at all. This ability can make predictions seem almost magical, but the explanation is often much simpler. The brain has quietly processed thousands of observations and reached a conclusion before conscious awareness catches up. That is why pattern recognition frequently feels like intuition. It seems as though the answer appeared from nowhere, even though the mind has been collecting evidence the entire time. In everyday life, this ability may help someone recognize an unreliable person before obvious warning signs appear, identify trends before they become popular, or solve complicated problems by connecting ideas from completely different fields. Yet this remarkable strength also carries an unexpected price, because seeing more patterns often means noticing more problems, more contradictions, and more possibilities than the average person can easily ignore. Another sign is one that many people quietly carry for years without finding the right words to explain it. It is the feeling that you do not fully belong. This feeling is not always dramatic, and it does not mean someone is lonely all the time. It is often much more subtle. You can be surrounded by friends, family, or coworkers, and still feel as if your mind is moving in a different direction. Conversations that excite everyone else may leave you feeling disconnected, while topics that fascinate you may seem uninteresting to those around you. You may notice yourself asking deeper questions, while others are satisfied with quick answers. You may enjoy exploring ideas for hours, while people around you quickly lose interest and move on. Over time, this creates a quiet sense of distance that is difficult to explain. Many intelligent people experience what psychologists sometimes describe as intellectual loneliness. This does not mean believing you are better than other people. In fact, most highly intelligent individuals do not see themselves as superior at all. They simply struggle to find people who enjoy thinking about the same kinds of questions. There is an important difference between feeling different and believing you are above others. One comes from comparison driven by ego. The other comes from a mismatch in interests, curiosity, and thinking style. Someone may enjoy discussing human behavior, science, philosophy, history, or the future, while the people around them prefer lighter conversations. Neither preference is wrong. They are simply different. Yet when this mismatch continues for years, a person may begin wondering why they never seem to fit comfortably into most groups. The answer is often much simpler than they expect. Their brain may naturally search for depth where others are content with simplicity. This difference can make them feel isolated even when they are not physically alone. That same search for depth naturally leads to another powerful sign that often appears very early in life. Curiosity is one of the strongest predictors of lifelong intellectual growth. Many people think intelligence is fixed from birth, but psychology shows that curiosity can be just as important as natural ability. Highly intelligent people rarely stop asking questions. They are not satisfied with knowing what something is. They want to understand why it exists, how it works, and what happens if it changes. One question quickly leads to another, creating an endless chain of learning that never truly ends. Their interests often seem unrelated to one another. One week they may be reading about astronomy. The next week they are fascinated by psychology, ancient civilizations, economics, music, biology, or artificial intelligence. To an outside observer, these interests appear random. Inside the mind, however, every new subject becomes another piece of a much larger puzzle. Learning is rewarding in itself. This is known as intrinsic motivation. Instead of studying only to earn praise, money, or recognition, curious people learn because the process itself feels exciting. Every new discovery creates another opportunity to explore. This motivation keeps the brain active throughout life because it does not depend on external rewards. A person driven only by grades or career success may stop learning once those goals are achieved. A naturally curious person continues learning simply because the world never stops offering new questions. Research has repeatedly shown that curiosity encourages people to seek new experiences, solve unfamiliar problems, and adapt more easily to changing situations. Over many years, this habit can become more valuable than raw IQ alone. Knowledge grows through repeated exploration, and curiosity fuels that growth every single day. It quietly expands the mind without demanding attention or recognition. Yet one habit that often grows alongside curiosity is frequently misunderstood and even criticized. The next sign is often mistaken for a personality flaw. Many people assume someone who dislikes small talk must dislike people. That assumption is often completely false. Highly intelligent individuals usually enjoy meaningful conversations, but they become mentally tired by endless discussions that never move beyond the surface. Casual conversation certainly has its place. It helps build comfort, trust, and social connection. The problem appears when every interaction stays at that level. A mind that naturally seeks ideas, questions, and understanding often begins craving deeper discussion after only a short time. Topics that explore emotions, science, creativity, history, human behavior, or future possibilities provide the kind of mental stimulation that keeps their attention alive. Repeating the same predictable conversations about the weather, daily routines, or gossip may quickly become exhausting. This preference is connected to the brain's desire for cognitive stimulation. Intelligent minds often require greater mental engagement to remain interested. That does not make someone unfriendly or arrogant. It simply reflects the way their attention operates. They are energized by conversations that teach them something new or challenge the way they think. Many people who appear quiet in social settings suddenly become energetic when discussing a subject they truly enjoy. Hours pass without them noticing because the conversation provides the mental challenge they naturally seek. This difference is often misunderstood by others, who may mistake silence for boredom or coldness. In reality, the person may simply be waiting for a discussion that feels meaningful. Once that discussion begins, an entirely different side of their personality appears. That willingness to explore ideas also explains another surprising sign of intelligence that many people fail to recognize. One of the clearest signs of a flexible and intelligent mind is the ability to change your opinion. Many people see changing your mind as a sign of weakness or uncertainty. Psychology suggests the opposite. A person who refuses to change their beliefs even after seeing clear evidence is usually protecting their ego rather than searching for truth. Intelligent thinkers understand that every belief is based on the information available at the time. When better evidence appears, the most logical response is to update that belief instead of defending an outdated conclusion. This ability is known as cognitive flexibility. It allows the brain to adapt instead of becoming trapped by old assumptions. Unfortunately, every human mind is affected by confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for information that supports existing beliefs while ignoring information that challenges them. This habit feels comfortable because it protects certainty. Breaking free from confirmation bias requires effort, honesty, and humility. Highly intelligent people are usually more willing to ask difficult questions, even when those questions challenge their own opinions. They care more about reaching the correct answer than about proving they were right from the beginning. This habit can confuse others because their opinions may change over time. Some people mistake this for inconsistency. In reality, it often reflects growth. A scientist changes a theory after discovering new evidence. A skilled investor changes a strategy after learning new information. A thoughtful person changes an opinion after hearing a stronger argument. None of these changes represent weakness. They represent learning. The strongest minds are rarely frozen in one position because they understand that knowledge continues expanding every day. They allow new information to shape better decisions instead of allowing pride to control them. When all of these signs come together, they reveal a side of intelligence that is rarely discussed. The same mind that constantly questions itself may also struggle with anxiety because it sees more possibilities, more risks, and more unanswered questions than most people notice. The same curiosity that drives lifelong learning can create information overload, making it difficult to stop searching for better answers. Deep thinking can become overthinking when every possible outcome is analyzed repeatedly. High personal standards may slowly develop into perfectionism, creating the feeling that nothing is ever quite good enough. Pattern recognition can cause someone to notice problems long before anyone else sees them, leaving them carrying concerns that others dismiss. Enjoying solitude may sometimes lead to isolation when meaningful relationships become difficult to find. A brain that naturally examines every option may even experience analysis paralysis, spending so much time searching for the perfect decision that taking action becomes harder than expected. These challenges do not cancel out intelligence. They often grow from the very strengths that make the mind different. Every remarkable ability comes with responsibilities, and every strength creates a new balance to learn. Understanding that balance may be one of the most valuable discoveries of all. Because the greatest challenge is not simply recognizing intelligence, but learning how to live with the unique way it shapes everyday life. As we reach the end of this journey, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Intelligence is rarely as obvious as the world makes it seem. It does not always wear the face of perfect grades, impressive job titles, or effortless success. More often, it hides inside quiet habits that most people never notice. It appears in the person who keeps asking questions after everyone else has accepted the first answer. It appears in the mind that refuses to stop learning, keeps searching for better ideas, and has the courage to admit when it was wrong. Many gifted people spend years believing they are ordinary because they focus on what they do not know, instead of appreciating how differently they think. The goal of this video was never to convince you that you are a genius or to place a label on yourself. Labels can be limiting. Understanding yourself is far more valuable. When you recognize how your own mind works, you stop comparing yourself to everyone else and start using your strengths with greater confidence and purpose.